Hello again. It's time for another team training for the Oklahoma Housing Needs Assessment. This lesson is about obtaining employment data from public sources. It's part of our prototyping model flowchart. This is in the category of variable data. And we're going to be looking at primarily census data here, but also some data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So I'm going to switch over to the internet here. And so this first site that I want to show you is part of the United States Census Bureau. It's called On the Map, and it's really a great site for obtaining employment data and household data about jobs. And so when you search for it, just search for On the Map, and this should be the first one that comes up on your search engine. And it's very sort of intuitive to use. So here's the United States, and let's say that we're interested in data at the county level for this example. So we'll just go and search for Oklahoma here. And what it will do is it will show you the different data geographies available. And you can see it's based on census data. So it goes all the way from the state to the counties, places, zip codes, metro areas, census blocks, census groups, census tracts, everything, that you might imagine here. We're going to select the state of Oklahoma here. And once you select it, it'll put a dot down basically at the centroid of the geography that you've selected. And we're just going to say perform analysis on this selection area. And so we'll click on that, and it brings up some settings for analysis. And you can play around with this all you like. But for this example, the first thing to determine is this area that we're analyzing based on where workers live or where they are employed? So I'm interested in this case where they're employed. So I'm going to leave this radio button here set to work. And then you can do a variety of different types of analysis, which some of them are really quite useful. A lot of them have to do with how many jobs there are in each geographic area, what kind of jobs they are, the wages they are, but also you can see there is commuting data available in terms of distance and direction, inflow and outflow. So I'm not going to do all of these in this video, so I'll let you, experiment, but I want to show you the sort of the primary one here, which is an area profile. And then you can select the year. So the most up-to-date year, the most recent data they have is from 2019, which is before the COVID pandemic. And I'm not sure, why they haven't updated this yet. It may be because of the pandemic, but it goes all the way back to 2002. So if you wanted to get some data for different years for comparison purposes, it's all here. And there's some distinctions on the different kinds of jobs, primary jobs in the private sector versus all the jobs, including government jobs and that sort of thing. I'm just going to collect all jobs here for this example, and I'm going to hit go. And it takes a minute to generate an analysis for you. And so what you're going to see here is it does two types of analysis for you. It does a map, and it does it generates a report over here on the side. And so if we zoom in on the map, you can kind of click on these buttons here. And I'm going to get in here on the Oklahoma City metro area. And what you're going to see here takes a minute to reload, but you see a bunch of dots. And each one of these represents the number of jobs in a census block. It goes all the way down to the block level, which is fantastic if you want that level of detail. It also has a heat map or a thermal overlay, which you can turn on and off over here. You can turn the points on over here, and look at them. But you can see that all the different jobs are identified here. And this is for the whole state of Oklahoma. So that's this summary that we're getting over on the right-hand side over here shows total jobs are about just shy of 1.6 million jobs in the state of Oklahoma. Gives you a breakdown by worker age, by earning level, at least to a certain extent. And then it has a breakdown by industry sector. And this is based on the North American Industry Classification System. I'm just going to take a brief little aside here to talk about that the classification system here. And so let me I just need to go back now to the census site. And so they have this North American Industry Classification System, which is used by the federal statistical agencies for establishing business establishments. And so like everything else in the census world, things change over time. The latest coding here is shown on this site, and you can see that they have the different sectors listed. So sector 11, agriculture, forestry, fishing and hunting, and then mining and quarrying, utilities, construction, and so on and so forth. And they have a 2-digit code for the main sectors. And this is probably all we're interested in, but you can drill down. So like if we look at the construction sector, you can see that they have construction of buildings, 236. That's broken down further into residential and non-residential. Residential is broken down into single family housing, multifamily housing, new housing for sale builders, residential remodeler, right? So there's different classifications for the job. So if you're ever looking for information about a specific industry or specific jobs, you can use this North American Industry Classification System. Okay, going back to our on the map data here, once again, you can see here the count and the percent share. So it's interesting, here in Oklahoma, healthcare and social assistance have the highest percentage of jobs, followed by retail trade. So this is by the number. You take the number of jobs divided by the total number of jobs in the state. They also have breakdowns by race, ethnicity, education attainment, and sex, right? So we have a lot of good employment information here. And if you want to generate a report, you can do that over here by clicking here for a detailed report. That's just going to be a PDF, but you'll see they have export geography there, which is fantastic. If you click on that, and you can actually get a shapefile. You can also get a CSV if you just want to link things. I'm just going to take the shapefile here, hit OK, and download the geography export, and it will generate a download file. It takes a minute or two to generate the shapefile for you. And there you see it popping up here, and it gives it a big code and puts everything in a zip file for you. So that's on the map. I think it's a great tool. I want to switch over to the ArcGIS for a moment and go to ArcMap, if I can find it. It's down here. There we go. All right. So if you watch the tutorial on census geographies, you'll recognize this map. Again, we got the state of Oklahoma, and I've got the urbanized areas layer turned on. So I just downloaded that on the map file, and of course you have to unzip it. And once it's unzipped, you can add it to the map. So I'm just going to go here. I've got to navigate to where I've got it kept. I've got a whole OFA GIS folder here. I gotta find it. Of course, you got to remember where you put it. It's either in data. Here it is. Okay. And you're going to get a points file here. And you're going to see there's a lot of points here because each point represents the centroid of a census block that has jobs represented. Now, not every census block has jobs. Most of them do, right? But especially in some of the urban areas, you might not have a job in every block. And if I open up the attribute table here, what you're going to see is we have a GeoID for the census block, which you should be familiar with. And then you have these codes. And again, this is data from the Census Bureau. So you have to kind of look up and see what codes we have here. The first one I can tell you here, this C000 is the total number of jobs. And then they break it down. They break it down by age, they break it down by education, they break it down by industry classification and all that sort of thing. So we can look at any of it in the GIS data. But for this purpose, I'm just looking at the total number of jobs. And you can kind of see it, it gives you kind of a scatter plot that shows, the concentration of the jobs. Now, each dot represents multiple jobs. So if you want, well, you can change the symbology, and which I've done here, and I'll show you what I did here if we get it to open up. And so basically we're using proportional symbols here. So we're using C000, the total number of jobs, and then we are making those dots the same proportion as the number of jobs that they have. Now, if I do this without normalizing the data, you're going to get some very large dots, okay? And those are primarily going to be on Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So there are some census blocks that have tons and tons of jobs in them. And so they sort of obliterate everything. So if you want a little bit more reasonable view, you can normalize them by using the, a natural log method, so that each dot grows proportionally by magnitude. So a dot that has 10 jobs is twice the size of a dot with one job, right? As opposed to being 10 times the size. And if we do that, you get a more reasonable distribution of things. And so it's really kind of nice and intuitive how you can look at this. Now, of course, we can aggregate this data by dissolving it by census tract or by county as well. So even though we get it at census block level, that's really great because you can always go up. It's harder to split it, right? You can't split it, but you can aggregate up. So anyway, On the Map is a very useful source of data. And I want to just touch on another one here that is used quite often for employment data. And that is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Okay. And so this Bureau, is part of the Department of Labor. So it's not in the Department of Commerce. And they collect data on a number of employment areas. So for instance, when we were on the map, it gave us the number of jobs, but it didn't give us unemployment data. But if we go to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, they do have that sort of data, right? And they have a lot of, like the Census Bureau, they have a lot of databases and tables that you can access. You just, you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics home, and then you click on Data Tools, and you can see that they have a bunch of them here listed. And so like things that you might be interested in: inflations and prices, employment, unemployment, employment projections, right? Pay and benefits, spending and time use, productivity, injuries, all sorts of things, right? And again, I'm not gonna try to demonstrate all of them for you, but like if we were interested in unemployment, labor force statistics, including the national unemployment rate, okay, and you can see there are a number of ways to look for it. They have like top picks, things that people commonly search for. You can use their data finder interface, or we can just access tables of data. So like if I click on tables of data here, you'll see that, you know, there are a number of tables in various formats available for, you know, for you to download. And you know, we can get CSV files and text files of things. This might look familiar. It's another FTP site, and that sort of thing. They have the one screen data search. Really, if anything, it's almost like they have too many ways to access the data that you might be looking for, right? Labor force statistics, all sorts of things here, right? All right, let's go back to unemployment here. The local area unemployment statistics. Let's see what we get here. If we click on the tables. All right, so most of this data, what you're going to find at the Bureau is it's either by state, metropolitan area, or county. I haven't been able to find too many down to the census tract level or anything like that. And remember, this is at the Department of Labor, not the Department of Commerce, so they don't use the same mapping system as the Census Bureau does. But, you know, we can get county-wide data. Here's labor force data by county, not seasonally adjusted, right? And so I'm going to look at the text file. The zip file is what you could download in CSV format, and you can see it has every county in the nation. This is from December 2021 to January 2023, and it has the size of the civilian labor force, how many are employed, and then the unemployment level and unemployment rate. And you know, if we scroll all the way down here to Oklahoma, yeah, here we go. Now we went too far. We're in Texas. There it is. And you will see there's 70 counties. They each have like this identifier over here, but it's not the census identifier, but we could match these by county name. And you can see these statistics are for the last 14 months, and they update them, you know, quite frequently. Some of the data, maybe not at the county level, but some of the data is updated, you know, on a monthly basis. And you know, we can also look by metro areas. And here's a table. And this one is for January 2023, right? So it's really pretty up to date. And you know, they've got them actually sorted here from the lowest to the highest. And I don't know if I can sort these. I'm going to go back here. You can, yeah, they're not, for this one anyway, they're not giving me the opportunity for a text file, but I think we can probably, let's see, unemployment rates for large metro areas. This looks like the same thing, except it's just for the larger ones. Anyway, you can get on here and explore. There are just tons of data. Here's unemployment rates for 2021 metro area. Let's see what that one looks like. Okay, so these are all sort of formatted in the same way. I was hoping that maybe we could download a table, much like we did for the county data. It should be listed here as the different formats that you can get that. But there are a lot of different interfaces here, so we might want to search by another method to try to find it. All right, here's county tables, and so you can see this goes all the way back to 1990, so we could really do some trend analysis here. All right, so anyway, hopefully that gives you some insight on how to obtain employment data from the census and from the Bureau of Labor statistics. So, I encourage you to get on their sites and try that out on your own. And we'll be talking more about how to apply that data as you build the geodatabase in future lessons.